Nintendo announces its new project, Labo. We're talking about it today on UnMuted.
UnMuted is a show where we talk about hot topics in gaming. I'm Darrian.
I'm Nicky.
And I'm Adrian.
We just, we got the announcement from Nintendo about the Labo.
We actually did a live stream.
Yeah, we did a live stream about it. Yeah, I was just about to say that. Thanks, Nicky. Yeah, we did a live stream about it. Adrian was on it. So Adrian, I'll let you start. What did you think when you were looking at that trailer? Like, tell the people who weren't on the live stream.
So the first thing that came out were like these weird panels, and me and Cade, we were both on the live stream. We looked at them and we're just like, wait a second, are these AR cards? Because we were talking about AR, like augmented reality and stuff. But then they had perforated edges and made like these weird shapes, and we were just like kind of dumbfounded by the idea of Nintendo producing this product that uses cardboard and the Switch. It was like we were kind of in awe of it, and our mouths were kind of open. I don't know if we have an archive of the live stream somewhere, but if you watch that archive, we were just like, what? Wait, what? So it was kind of surprising coming out of Nintendo, but it is the most Nintendo thing Nintendo could have ever done. Really.
When you say it was one of the most Nintendo things that they could have done, what do you mean by that?
So
it's almost as if you expected that they were going to be using cardboard, combining it with their revolutionary mobile system, and creating a new experience for people of all ages. Like this, like so, something like this. You're going to see this for 80 bucks.
You done with that?
I'm done with that, yeah. It was just a prop. Okay, we're gonna get rid of this.
So when we say it's the most Nintendo thing Nintendo has ever done, like, Nintendo has a tendency to go against the flow and do ridiculous things. Sometimes they don't do the things that fans want, but in doing so, they kind of create innovation. They innovate pieces of the gaming industry, and it's just one of those weird things Nintendo does.
And before I say this, I have to clarify. Like, people think I hate Nintendo. I don't hate Nintendo. I think Nintendo is a different kind of company, and they do different kind of things. I care about gaming writ large. I love gaming, and I want the industry to do well. And sometimes Nintendo's decisions don't always contribute to that ecosystem. But when I sat back, initially when I was looking at the Labo, I was like, what in the world is this? But when I sat back and I thought about the audience they were targeting, right? Like kids. And I thought about like building forts growing up. And I thought about the idea like how cool this would be if I were 9 or 10 years old, playing with my brother in the backyard. And then I also thought about like the way it could help kids with autism or special needs and things of that nature, because of these tactile learning experiences that are difficult to replicate or would be really cool. Like, we know iPads have revolutionized the way that kids with autism learn. And this could be a really, really cool thing in that category. Now, it does lead me to the question, like, this is great for that segment of the population, but when I think about the future of the Switch, where is that going? You know, we haven't had any really big game announcements. We've heard about Kirby and a few other games, but nothing like the level of a Smash game or something like that. Like, we've got this is cool. I think it's great. I think they're doing something really innovative in a way. I will never play with it, but it's not for me, you know, and I'm perfectly okay with that. But broadly, is this a console that's going to be around till 2021? Is it going to be around till 2022? Like, that's really my question.
Well, I was going to say, I'm not sure if it was Adrian or you, but in discussing of Nintendo's new endeavors, this is definitely something that there's a space that Nintendo is trying to fill. And I just thought about that. It's just like, it is really a Nintendo thing, like you had mentioned, because no one would even attempt. I can't imagine Microsoft or Sony attempting to do something like this.
Yeah.
And that aside, I do have to say, watching the trailer, I enjoyed it because packaging is huge, you know? And I just imagine, not only is it just really remarkable that, you know, you have all these different kinds of things, especially, I believe it was like 2 different sets, right? I would also like to add that I think there's so much that can go wrong, like, you know, not following the perforations, and like now your thing's broken, or just the idea of taking something like this on the go, or how long does this thing last? You have like extra steering wheels, or, you know, rubber bands are a bad thing because they, you know, eventually break, you know?
Yeah.
You can't take it outside, that's for sure.
Yeah, so
it's not something you can play with outside.
But challenge accepted.
But the trailer does a really good job of
we're gonna make that video.
Being imaginative, and I assign it to like being playful and adolescent. because it reminded me, and I think at the core of like Nintendo's items, like even Wii Sports, that's what I was thinking about, or the first Wii when you played Twilight Princess, like, oh my God, you're fishing with the Wiimote, and now you're actually like fishing with a fishing pole.
Yeah. With a contraption.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's actually really cool, and I just can't give enough credit to the people who had a lot of fun making these shapes and these gadgets out of cardboard. And that is pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
But going what Darrian had just mentioned, where is the Smash? Where is the next big title from Nintendo? Is this what they're leading with? Is there going to be a new Metroid? Smash Brothers, we were talking about earlier where it's like, maybe they can port the Wii U version, right? But does that dumb it down? Like in the same way that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe came to the Switch, I'm not expecting 9 because Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is just so full of a game. So when is the next Mario Kart? When is the next Mario Party? I know we're getting tennis, but I want to see Smash and I want to see some other things. Like I would love to see Metal Gear possibly come back to Nintendo.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Just jumping off of some of your earlier points about the Labo. When we were watching the live stream, we already knew that it was definitely not aimed for adults, specifically. They even marketed it, like they social posted. It was going to be for kids and for adults who have that kid inside them. So we already knew it wasn't going to be a game announcement. What we didn't know was that it was going to be cardboard. I mean, we have a cardboard TV over there because people like making things with cardboard. But I think I was the one that mentioned the whole Nintendo filling in a space. Like what I like about the Labo is that it is something where an adult can play with their kids. Sure, it might just be the building aspect maybe, but at least there is that social interaction between kids and adults. Like I barely see them nowadays in gaming other than like if the kid buys a shooting game that the adult plays online and they're yelling at each other at the same volume. But like normally I don't see parents playing with their kids anymore with video games. Back when I was a kid, my dad played Bomberman and Mario, and he's the one that taught me.
Sure.
But I can't really see that same interaction with a lot of games today, unless it's like marketed as a family game, like Cars 3 or
like Lego Dimensions.
Okay.
Lego Dimensions.
I think that's true. I mean, well, I would unpack that a little bit, but when you look at this, the Labo specifically, like how does it? I always, in the back of my head, I have this feeling like, how is this not the next fidget spinner, right? Like, how does this not become a trendy or fatty thing that kids are really excited about when they're, after they get it, and then they stop playing with it after a while? Because it doesn't look like, at least that we saw from that trailer, and we have yet to see what the games are going to look like, so there's a larger question there. But aside from these sort of gimmicky pieces or these little one-time actions on fishing, how long is that going to keep you entertained?
It doesn't need to be one time. Well, what me and Cade pointed out was that if you do buy this set as just like for curiosity's sake, you can still reuse those creations. Like we saw a.
When you say reuse.
You mean recycle?
Are you talking recycling though?
No. Specifically in gaming, like you bought the Labo sets and now you have like all these little different trinkets made out of cardboard. What's to say that you can't use them for any other games in the future? What's to say that they won't be like, here's the main way to play Star Fox in the future, but you could use the flight stick.
Now go rebuild your Labo box.
Well, you don't need to rebuild it.
So that kind of, you mentioned fidget spinner, and I think a sharper comparison would be comparing to something like, I keep saying Wii Sports because they had all those attachments, like to make it seem like that,
exactly right.
that you're playing with the tennis, but also Rock Band. Now granted, all the equipment ended up collecting dust and ended up being sold at a garage sale, but at least the cardboard you can break down and like flatten it and put it away, potentially. So that is actually pretty interesting, but it depends on the game because
I don't know about that piano though. That looked really intricate. I don't know if you're breaking that down and sliding under your bedroom table.
Yeah, but
put it in the corner of the living room.
Right. But you bring up the piano, same thing. Like what Adrian was saying, that there will be like a reuse factor. How many games are actually going to reuse the piano? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
exactly,
the cereal,
exactly.
sure. The fishing pole, maybe. And
the robot, maybe.
Maybe.
But I mean, I don't even know. Is it coming with extra Joy-Cons? Like,
no,
are they selling extra Joy-Cons with this device?
We were actually we were actually counting the amount of Joy-Cons you need for that thing, and we counted about 7. And a pair of Joy-Cons is about $80. like above what you pay for the $300 baseline for the Switch. So you need 7 at least. You have 2 on the Switch.
Can we do some quick math? So how much?
Oh, so you need 4.
Yeah,
so
so you really need
$80.
Yeah, about.
Yeah.
Yeah, about $280. But so that's an
280.
expensive
Can we just
game.
also point this out that you have 2 pink ones?
Yeah.
And if you guys don't know this, it's because for Splatoon they sell the pink and the green, and in another region they will alternate it where it's like left, right, it's pink, green, and then green, pink. And Adrian went the extra mile to get 2 pinks. So
Didn't you trade them with someone?
Did someone else have the 2
Switch.
greens?
Yeah, you traded them with somebody. So someone.
Someone else has had the 2 greens?
No.
Who has the 2 greens? Someone has the. I've seen the 2 greens in the office.
No, there aren't 2 greens. There are 2 yellows.
Yes.
Okay. Everyone in our office except Nicky has a Switch.
Continuing on with your conversation about the future of the Switch.
Yeah,
and
the future Switch.
Where
Adrian.
the heck
Longevity.
this is
Longevity,
going.
yeah.
I don't think it's going anywhere right now. In fact, Nintendo has a a history of just pushing forward with their handhelds, and I still consider this a possible handheld console, more of a handheld. It's complicated, my thoughts about it, but I see them making another iteration of the Switch. But other than that, game support, even though we haven't seen any heavy hitters in 2018 announced yet, we're still waiting for Fire Emblem. We haven't had news about Metroid Prime 4.
Oh,
and
yeah,
those are two
big,
pretty big games. Everyone's excited about Fire Emblem. A lot of people are, at least in the West. We're not seeing Smash, and I don't see them making a big deal out of it. Like, Mario Kart 8 wasn't a big deal. Pokken wasn't a big deal when they re-released it on the Switch. It was just kind of something they announced on the Direct. What I do see them doing is bringing that game back, if they are going to bring Smash back, and combining aspects of the 3DS version and the Wii U version to make like a Switch Definitive Edition.
Okay, that's interesting.
So like that's like where I see 2018 going. Like as for the future, they have so many different properties they haven't really touched upon. We're still waiting on the Virtual Console for the Switch. We're seeing a lot of indie games, like Night in the Woods comes out
seeing a lot of indie
February
games.
1st.
Stardew.
Like Stardew is out already. We have all these different indie games releasing for the Switch, and a lot of nindies that they announced last year that haven't been released yet. Like they announced this stuff in March 2017 or like May 2017 and haven't had release dates yet.
And you make a good point because as much as you were concerned about them launching with a major title, I believe the Switch is the console for Nintendo to focus on these indie games because like I said all the time, Wii and Wii U, that's all they had going for them was the major titles. Like they did a Smash, they did a Mario Kart, next console. And I think they're taking a departure from that, even though they're doing stuff like Labo, but I think that's what they're focusing on is indie. And you mentioned how it's almost like a handheld. This is my last point, and you can go.
Sure,
it's very comparative to the 3DS, where the 3DS, again, I can't imagine another 3DS. Again, they made the new 3DS, but it's still a 3DS game. It's just like a 3DS.
It's like a half step.
Exactly. Yeah.
And just to finish off my point, please, the Switch has seen success with games that came out like 4 years ago, and they're remastering Dark Souls. Like we're seeing third-party support for the Switch we haven't seen on the Wii U during its entire lifetime. And apparently, I saw this article on Kotaku where the games that are being re-released on the Switch are doing surprisingly, comparatively well years later, years after their initial release. And I think it's because people don't have the time to sit down at home.
Going back to what we were talking about, though, how do you guys feel, final point, for Nintendo Labo and its longevity and its future of the console?
So, Labo specifically?
Labo and anything else that we talked about.
So I don't think it's going to last extremely long. I think this is a thing that Nintendo's trying to do to just appeal to the kids and to families and different aspects that aren't hitting with the other consoles. But I don't see them supporting it more than, say, 2020. I think it's just a thing. They're gonna release 5 boxes after this initial pack, and that's it. But it does, again, you can reuse those peripherals. You have peripherals now, and you have the game and the instructions to make them.
Personally, I'd be surprised if it made it into 2019. Like I said, I think it's a really interesting thing that they're doing. I think it's fantastic, but people buy consoles because of the games. And this is, I think when they release these initial boxes, there's going to be an audience that's for it, but it's not, I mean, when you think about the average gamer's age, gamers are getting older. They're not getting younger. right? Like there are more, when you think about the fact that millennials are now the largest generation in American society, that's a huge gaming audience that is above the age of 20 and 18. And so they're not, you know, going to go rush to stores to buy this thing. So I think it's great. I think it has a lot of implications. I think there's a lot that that Sony and Xbox can learn from some of the innovation that Nintendo is moving forward with. But if it makes it in 2020, if it makes it past 2019, I would be very, very surprised.
So those are just some of our thoughts on Nintendo Labo. Leave a comment down below and let us know what are your thoughts on the future of the Switch.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. That's all we have for UnMuted. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe and then click that bell icon so you become part of the notification squad. And you'll be notified on whenever we upload. And we upload daily, and we have live streams on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so you don't want to miss those as well. Keep it here to the Leaderboard, your home for video game facts.